Hello, you are listening to Leanne Javidoni from Congruent Soul Coaching. Welcome to my meditation challenge. If you haven't read the November 2012 monthly message named or titled Paying It Forward, take a moment to read this. Go to my website, congruentsoulcoaching.ca, and on the home page to the left, you will see the monthly message envelope. Click on this and it will take you to the spot on my website where all my messages are. Reading the November message will help you to understand where this meditation challenge comes from. And yet another really important reason for meditating. In this introduction, I want to give you some general tips about meditation. Meditation is about training the mind to become quiet and focused. To do this, the mind needs repetition and pattern. And so meditating in the same place each time, in the same room, in the same chair, in the same spot, helps to create this pattern of repetition. Meditating at the same time each day helps to train the mind that it's time for meditation. If you're using any rituals, then repeating those rituals in the same way each time again creates this pattern. As for rituals, there's really no specific things that you need to do in order to meditate. However, some people do have little ceremonial or ritual things that they like to do, again, to set the focus and intention to train their mind that, yeah, it's time to meditate. So when I light a candle, for example, and sit in that chair, in that room, at that time, my mind begins to be trained to know that it's time to quiet and focus. Some of my meditations will have background music while others will not. And so if you're meditating on your own, you will begin to know whether you prefer music or not and what kind of music. Again, just for the intention and focus of telling your mind it's time to meditate. Some people will have words that they'll say before they begin their meditation. And some people have a visualization that they do before they begin their meditation. Something as simple as picturing a color or light, or maybe picturing being in a place where they feel very safe and comfortable. And so again, none of these are necessary, and yet if they work for you, then they become yet another tool to help to tell the mind when these things are happening, it's time to quiet and focus. It is advisable to sit upright when meditating, mostly so that you don't fall asleep. But if for whatever reason you need to lie down, then that's fine as well. But if you're finding that you're always falling asleep, then you're going to want to change that up. If your mind is really racing when you go to sit down and meditate, there's a couple things that you can do. With practice of repeating the process of getting prepared for meditation, that will get easier. Your mind will learn that it is time to quiet when it follows those steps. But you may also need to have your feet grounded, so flat on the floor, or if you are lying down, then up against the headboard or wall. And you can even visualize or picture roots coming from your feet and grounding you to the surface. Or another thing you can do if your mind is really racing is you could journal before you begin your meditation to get all that noise and chatter out of your mind onto paper. And then that kind of opens and clears you to be able to focus during your meditation. Some people prefer to journal after they meditate, and some don't journal at all. So again, it's what works for you. If you are concerned about time, you can use a timer. Just ensure that it doesn't have a ticking sound because that will distract you. And you can set how long you want to stay in the meditative state. 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever suits you. The meditations that I'm going to post will be, I think, about 15 minutes. It's going to be governed by how long YouTube allows me to put stuff on the YouTube page. I think it's about 15 minutes. But that's not to say that you can't stay longer. And if you're concerned about being there too long, then just set your timer. And so when the recording stops, you can stay in the meditative state, and then your timer will go off, or just trust that you'll come out at the right time. Remember, meditation is about quieting and focusing the mind. So you may not have a blank mind. A lot of people think that their mind's going to go completely blank. And yes, it can, but sometimes it doesn't. And that doesn't mean that you're not meditating. If your thoughts are very distracting, then in addition to some of the other things I suggested, you could also, as the thought comes in, you could visualize placing it in a box, in a basket, in a balloon or a cloud, and just allowing that thought to float away. You're acknowledging that the thought is there, but you're not getting involved with it. You're just observing the thought and letting it pass. And again, that's a pattern of repetition that will train the mind to say, thoughts, whether you show up or not, I'm not going to get involved with you. You're going to come and go. And eventually that happens very quickly. It takes some practice, and with practice it makes it easier. Some days will be better than others. And it's not about perfection. Just taking the time out is beneficial as well. If you simply begin to notice how busy your mind is and what sorts of thoughts distract you, that's beneficial in of itself. So stick with the 24-day meditation, and you will develop the habits you need to grow your meditative practice. You will be a better person for it. And when you're a better person, our world's a better place. One heart at a time. Do it for your children. Do it for your children's children. Thank you for joining me in this meditation challenge.